This is a golden ants that have undergone tens of thousands of experiments, and in order to get the secrets of evolution out of it. And he's willing to share it with dozens of animals. Genetic recombination. Although it succeeded in evolving him into a man, incredible heights, but also because of the long experiment, and that led to the end of his life. Look at the system prompt message. I didn't expect him to awaken his talent at only level 1, and I'm gonna pour a drop of life essence, dropped it on him. The next second, a green beam of light shot straight into the sky. Ants that were dying before. At this moment, it has already become a terrifying mutated beast. Ding mutation. Golden ants have the power to overturn the sky, 100 times larger than the average ant. I didn't realize this little ant. The potential is so strong. Random. I just swung a little bit at him. It was just a moment. The golden ants dodged several times in a row. And then there was a bang. Not expect. He can still block my wicker attacks. Then the golden ant suddenly kneels on one knee, and he showed me his loyalty. I was shocked to see this scene. I didn't expect him to be only level 5. I can't believe he's talking. And the white tiger next to it is already level 9. Even now, you can only act cute. Look at the golden ants. I gave it a shiny name. And then it says, from now on, you're the 5th of my 9 beasts. Meanwhile, on the human side, this moment, they've already set up camp at the foot of the hill. After learning this news, I'll send the crocodiles right to the heart of the Misty Mountains. Land occupation. Xiaoqing asked at this time. Humans are now aware of the existence of crocodiles. What should we do? I said that for now, we can only let the crocodiles carry it. When it's too late. War with humans. So now the human army stationed at the foot of the mountain. What are we gonna do about it? My eyes hardened when I heard this. Don't worry. I know what to do. Soon, as the human troops prepared to enter the mountains, a fog dragon suddenly appeared in the sky. The soldier hurriedly attacked the fog. But what's strange is that the fog can recombine. Then a soldier next to him, holding a flamethrower means letting me, but he didn't have time to do it, was shot through the head by a golden beam. Then Flash slowly walked into the crowd and stopped. And then you're going to have a good experience. Your lab work, right? After a short while, human encampment. It's already turned into a sea of fire. Xiaoqing asked at this time, are we really going to war with humans? Hearing this, I thought for a moment, and said, we can't hide forever. And not my kind. His heart must be different. This is an atavistic crocodile over 2 kilometers long. Since the last time we were stopped by humans, I sent him to the mountains in the middle of the fog, and now my spiritual power has reached 400,000. It's almost at the upper reaches of the second order of transcendence. But if you want to continue to improve, you have to keep killing. Only high-level mutated beasts will work. And then I sent a message to the low evildoers and asked them to tell me. In the river to the east. Did you find anything? Hearing this, the second quickly expressed that Jiangdong was dangerous and unpredictable. Even if it was his current strength of transcendent rank 1, I dare not stay too long. And that river water seems to have the power to suppress spiritual energy fluctuations. That is, underwater. It's highly possible that there's something extraordinary above level 2. After hearing this, I couldn't help but be stunned. I thought it was too simple. At this point, the Emperor said, I was just above the water. I felt a deep fear. Maybe in that river. There are even terrifying existences of transcendent rank 3. At this time, Emperor Crocodile asked again. Is it possible that the divine tree, are you planning on taking that river for yourself? Yeah. We can't stay in a forest forever. As long as we take that river, then you can go to the sea from here. But when it did, the evil man broke out in a cold sweat, and then it says, we can send second brother and fifth brother to investigate first. This will train them to fight. And help you expand your territory. I didn't expect this crocodile to be so sensitive. Then I asked him to take charge of the operation. It's the Emperor Crocodile, and it means God Tree, so don't worry. I will hand over all my prey to you to kill personally. Good, but this operation must not be careless. Before the expedition, remember to come to me first to get some life essence. I don't want anything to happen to you. Emperor Crocodile hurriedly expressed his gratitude when he heard this, and then I'm going to put my will to all the mutated beasts. Meanwhile, the underground palace. And it's almost finished. With Qinggang, this human plan, the underground city is already in shape. Not only did it open up a whole 10 floors of space, it even introduced an underground spirit river. In addition to the spirit stone ore obtained earlier, the current underground city can be said to be even more powerful. Just then, Shaoqing suddenly told me that egg is about to hatch. As a green pillar of light shot into the sky. The next second, a white snake with tentacles hatches. Mutated white snake rank 1. You can manipulate ice to freeze everything. I was delighted to see this little white snake. I wonder if he will evolve into a white lady in the future. What? Just when I was wondering. The battle on the other side of the mountain has begun. Their goal this time is simple. Is to figure out what's going on in this area. At this time, Emperor Crocodile came forward to remind him, all prey must be captured alive, bring it back to Lord Godtree to kill, and remember not to fight when you meet a strong enemy. As soon as Emperor Crocodile finished speaking, and the next second, all the monsters are screaming, and rushed into the mountains. At this time, Flash jumped to the back of the second brother, and asked the second brother, I want to try it too. Hearing this, second brother hurriedly warned him, don't mess with high-level killers. But before he could finish, the Flash has been ejected like a sword. The picture comes to humans again. After the last war, the only soldier who escaped is already in a state of nervous breakdown. No matter what scientists ask, he always says one thing. The fog is terrible. After seeing this scene, the commander ordered the 3 armies to assemble. Make sure you flatten that weird Wishon. This is a chimp with an IQ of 250, with my life essence. The next second, has become a terrifying mutant beast. It turned out that just now, in order to ascend to the transcendental realm as soon as possible, so he sent his underlings to conquer the mountains next door, and as they keep bringing me prey, my evolution points quickly rose to 18,000. As for the monster's body, I gave them all to the queen bee. And somewhere in the mountains at the same time, I saw a gorilla staring angrily ahead. It turned out that Shaoqing had broken into his territory, with a roar from the gorilla. And then you stick it in a crack. The next second, he lifted a 100-ton boulder. See this scene, Shaoqing? I couldn't help but exclaim, this guy's got a lot of strength. And then the gorilla suddenly throws up his hands, and the boulder was thrown at him. Can be lit with several flashes. The boulder is in the air. It was cut into countless pieces by Shaoqing. At this time, Shaoqing said expressionlessly, don't struggle. Why don't you come back with me? Back in the valley again. At the moment, I've just finished disposing of animal carcasses. The gorilla. He was thrown in front of me by Shaoqing. Owner, I got you that gorilla you wanted. This is a primate. Master, are you sure you want to cultivate them? Look at the giant hole in the ground. At this moment I am speechless, but still patiently explained to Shaoqing. Orangutans, as the most human-like creatures, if you evolve them to the point, it might have unexpected effects. Just then, the chimp suddenly opened his eyes. But when he saw me, he was stunned, and then he came at me screaming. But before he was killed by my neuroparalytic toxin, looking at the gorilla lying on the ground in pain, I gave him 2 options. Or submit to me, or die right here. The gorilla, who heard that, is to express his willingness to surrender. This operation surprised me. I didn't know primates were smart. Looking at the gorilla with the silly face, I immediately named him King Kong. And hopefully he'll be able to, can really become as brave as Kong. Then, and I gave him a drop of the enhanced essence of life. Only for a moment. The Vajra. Suddenly, there was a terrible pressure. I saw this. I couldn't help but say 2 words. The national football team is only because of King Kong at this time, has evolved into a 100-meter-tall monster. Mutant orangutan. After entering level 8 and entering berserk mode, both strength and speed will be greatly improved. Not bad, not bad. But if you want to be one of the 9 monsters, still missing something, then I ordered him. Now you can contact your own shortcomings. As soon as I finished speaking, King Kong suddenly shouted at the sky, "It's just a moment." And that roar goes to the ears of the other apes. After receiving the order of his king, and the stars began to move. I couldn't help but be secretly delighted to see this scene, the decision to subdue the stars. It's really a big profit, and at the same time, on the other side, at this moment, the Flash has encountered a lot of trouble. Turned out to be, he met a mantis his size. This is a giant praying mantis over 2.5 meters long, in the face of a 6th level Flash. I've never been disadvantaged. Flash is a level 8 mutant beast. I don't even care. But this praying mantis. But it made him unable to cope for a while. I saw a green figure passing by. The next second, the mantis has arrived in front of the Flash in an instant. And then, in their series of collisions, even the surrounding rocks were reduced to pieces. And then Flash suddenly said, "You're strong. Come back with me." After saying that, he swipes at the mantis chest. And the next, the mantis's chest. A big wound appeared. And then the blue mantis. And fell flat on the ground. It turns out that the Flash is on its own blade. Smeared with my divine paralyzing toxin, just then. Second brother charged towards this side. When he saw the Flash, he was fine. That's why I stopped the car in a hurry. Then the second brother curiously asked this little guy, "And hurt you?" An expression of a smile. This mantis may not be very strong, but surprisingly fast. Second brother raised his head after hearing this, indicating that it was dawn. That's enough hunting for today. Soon, this expedition team then slowly began to return to the direction of the Fog Mountain. Suddenly there was a flash of light in the distant forest. So it's an atavistic crocodile, always watching over them. At this time, Flash curiously asked the fourth brother, "Just keep looking at us like that?" Second brother heard this and explained that Emperor Crocodile is now a transcendent level 1. If we meet a strong enemy, he'll be the first to rush to our aid. When Flash heard this, he fell into a deep thought. But at that moment, he suddenly realized that the white tiger next to him was missing. Second brother looked back, embarrassed. "I think he's holding the mantis. Go claim credit from the divine tree, on the other side of me right now, is consuming the evolution points that I've accumulated recently. I can't believe it took me an entire day. And it's only half as strong. As for the remaining 27, I want to hunt for a few more days. It should be able to be fully enhanced." Just then, silly white tiger suddenly roared, and he just flew right at me. Just when I was wondering, why is this guy so excited? At this moment, the white tiger suddenly opened its mouth and spit out that blue mantis. I couldn't help but frown when I saw this scene. Suddenly, the green mantis slowly stood up. Ding! Cyan mantis has reached level 7, talent with wind attribute, and extremely good at disguising themselves. I couldn't help but be stunned when I saw the system prompt. I didn't expect this one to look ordinary. Strange mantis is an assassin. Then I threw it into the altar next door. Let's get it back on track. Only for a moment. Huge amount of spiritual energy. It's all infused into his body. After a short while, the blue mantis opened its eyes. And the next second, he's hurtling into the air. He was about to run away. I immediately whipped it with a root. With a thud. The mantis's head, and you have a fist-sized bulge. Just then, second brother and the others are finally back. But at this time, Nyoemo was worried and said, "Honghu, he hasn't come back for so long. I want to find him." Yeah, Honghu hasn't been heard from in half a month. However, with his level 9 strength, I don't think we're in any danger. But before I could finish, the ox demon said again, "What if he meets a strong enemy?" I couldn't help but worry about the cow demon's words, and then I said, "If you can break through to transcendent level 1, then go to him." After hearing this, the devil said immediately. I want to go to the Spirit Stone Square to cultivate. I thought about it and said yes. After all, this guy's been following me around, sucking in Reiki, the current him. He had already stepped into the peak of level 9. Now, with the addition of a Spirit Stone mine that matches his attributes, I'm getting more and more excited about this guy after the breakthrough. What kind of surprise will it bring me? I was reborn as a tree, but it was treated as a mortal enemy. Just because I hit him can easily destroy a city. In order to survive better, I've subdued a group of fierce beasts to be my underlings. Not only successful, but human scruples dare not attack casually, and with their help, I've been strengthening all the wicker very quickly. 3 enhancements. Not only did the hardness of the wicker increase a lot, even after injecting spiritual power, it can still branch. Now I have more than 400,000 spiritual power. If I inject all my spiritual power into the wicker, what would happen? At the thought of this, I tried to pour out all my spiritual power. In an instant my willows grew like crazy. Meanwhile, deep in the mountains, Flat Top, they're looking surprised. Even White Tiger, the wolf, also stared at the sky for a while. It's all because my wicker is infused with spiritual power. It's already turned into thousands of aurora. Such a spectacular view. It's for Chiaki, who's human, I couldn't help but exclaim. But the cold wind next to it means, if this aurora hits the ground, then I'm afraid this place will be razed to the ground in an instant. Just then, Flash suddenly said sarcastically, to see Lord God show his power. After hearing this, Ling Feng just wanted to refute. He was stopped by Qian Qing. Then Qian Qing asked the Flash, "Do you hate humans that much?" Flash immediately sneered when he heard this, just as he was about to turn around and leave, and then suddenly turned around and stared at them coldly. "It means I hate it." "Not hate it." Then he left their sight with a swipe. I'm so excited to see this. I couldn't help feeling a chill down my back, and at the same time, on the other side, all the wicker started to shrink. After a short while, my 50 willow branches are back in their original shape. Although the power of this move is indeed terrifying, but the spiritual energy consumption is too exaggerated. However, this move can be kept as his trump card. At the critical moment, maybe you can turn the tide against the wind. Back to the dungeon. In chimpanzees, under their work. At this moment, the underground palace is already built in shape. Then I said to the green oak again, "These primate creatures, intelligence is low. After the underground palace is built, just train them in the direction of the army." But before I could finish, the underground palace suddenly shook. It turned out that the ox demon finally broke through to the extraordinary First Order, and with a bang. The cave where the ox demon was instantly collapsed. I couldn't help but be surprised to see this scene. Bull Demon's breakthrough this time is probably extraordinary. Looking at the ox demon whose momentum is still rising, I had an idea. Then he took the rock flower that understood the power of the earth, took out. This is a large amount of earth's spirit stone absorbed, flowers derived from it. It must be good for the ox demon. After saying that, I sent the flower into the mouth of the ox demon. In an instant, the ox demon's aura increased several times. Then there was another loud explosion. Suddenly a golden beam of light shot into the sky. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but complain. How come every breakthrough, they're gonna mess up my cave? Just then, Bull Demon finally broke through. He doesn't just look bigger now. And there's a faint golden glow all over it. Yeah, that's good. That's good. From the momentum point of view, I've already spoken to White Tiger and the others. It's not a level anymore. And around him, I also seem to feel a distortion in the air. And then I immediately called the system to turn it on. Bull Demon's stats changed to gravity field. By virtue of his control over the earth, to change the gravity around it. I saw this. I couldn't help but gasp. I didn't expect Bull Demon to awaken his gravity talent. Just then, Flat Top runs with a flash. Asked the second brother. You're getting stronger again. However, the ox demon's face was covered with circles. I think I feel stronger. But I can't say exactly where. When I heard that, I immediately said, this is very simple. You'll find out after a fight. This is an extraordinary Type 1 mutant bull demon. I tested him to see what he was capable of, so he teamed up with Flash and Mantis. Go fight him. And I promised Mantis that if you beat the ox demon, I'll let you go. After hearing this, the Mantis and the Flash move at great speed towards the ox demon, only for a moment. The whole body of the ox demon, there are countless shuttling figures. Just then, Flash and Mantis, all of a sudden, they flew above the head of the ox demon at the same time, just when they think they're gonna win this one. The ox demon suddenly activated the talent of gravity, with two thud sounds. Flash and Mantis were smashed into the ground. I couldn't help but exclaim when I saw this scene. Seems, speed is useless in front of Bull Demon. After hearing this, Brother Flattop next to him immediately withdrew his right foot. At this time, the ox demon came forward and asked the fifth brother, "Are you okay?" "It's okay. It's just feeling like my gut looks like it's been crushed." After hearing this, I am hurrying to transform the essence of life into raindrops, scattered all over them. I didn't expect Bull Demon's gravity talent to be so strong. Despite the glitter, they look fine. But the internal organs were crushed by gravity. Then I looked at the ox demon. Speaking of which, you've just broken through to Transcendent Level 1. It should have been consolidated first. But I promise you, once you break through, I'll let you find Nine-Tail, so I won't say anything superfluous. Be careful on the road. Remember not to fight in danger. Myo-Mu hurriedly said that he would be careful after hearing this. Then he began his journey to find Nine-Tail. Meanwhile, at the foot of the mountain, there's a massive human army stationed right now. One of the soldiers asked fearfully. The alligator didn't pop out of nowhere, did it? Don't worry, where we're stationed. It's 20 kilometers from that foggy mountain, and now the extraordinary troops, and when all the artillery fire is in place, you can step on this mountain. The next day, inside the Human Transcendence Institute, Kobayashi is working hard on his daily training. He didn't think he'd be able. He's so powerful. Not only can it transform flames into various forms, and surprisingly powerful. Just then, a junior girl suddenly came forward and shouted, "Linger!" The seniors and mentors are all waiting anxiously. After hearing this, Kobayashi quickly walked out without looking back. And then the dilapidated training ground behind us. It's a surprise to the junior. It's made of superalloy. I didn't expect to be destroyed like this by my senior. Soon Kobayashi came to the reception hall. This is a teenager with lightning on his face. I was instantly attracted to his voice. To say Kobayashi, now she's the belle of the school. And the strength is not to be underestimated. Then he went up and said, "Hello, Junior. I think you've heard of me." But he didn't even finish his sentence. Kobayashi looked doubtful and said, "Who are you?" Fortunately, at this time, the junior sister came forward and explained that his name was Li Hao, one of the Federation's finest, and half a month earlier than you broke through to Transcendent Level 1, it is said that he awakened the gift of lightning, so his rich dad, and spent billions on spiritual herbs for him. At this time, Li Hao expressed his embarrassment. "This time, I specially invited you to join the 2nd Military Region, but before that, and I need to see if you can do it." After saying that, he started releasing his lightning attribute. And after Kobayashi saw it, not to be outdone, the fire butterfly appeared. But Li Hao, who saw this scene, had a look of disdain. He did not expect Kobayashi actually sent violent flames into this gaudy butterfly. Then he roared and rushed towards Shaolin. But when his fist, the moment I touched the butterfly, countless raging flames, and wrapped him up in a flash. This sudden change, it made him hurriedly retreat. What's going on? It's just an ordinary fire butterfly. Why is it so powerful? Unwillingly Hausher, and hurriedly released all his lightning power. I'm gonna get serious next. Surrender if you don't want to die. However, this did not make Kobayashi feel afraid. Instead, it releases a large number of fire butterflies. It means come on. Let's see how long you're gonna keep talking. He's the youngest extraordinary in human history. But now, and I got beat up by a girl. To save face, he unleashed all his lightning power. But in the face of such pressure, Kobayashi just raised his hand. The next second, countless fire butterflies rushed towards Li Hao like a tide, with a loud bang. This moment, Li Hao was burned beyond recognition. He tried to catch his breath. Said sorry? I lose and say. He fell flat on the ground. The institute that saw this, yes, cheered for Xiaoming hurriedly. Li Hao's companions were in disbelief. At the same time, in the office of a high-ranking official, a blind man praised this girl named Xiaoling, a rare genius. After hearing this, the leader immediately asked his subordinates, said he lingers information to top secret, followed by a sigh. Human strength is still far from enough. We have to find it fast. Only students with extraordinary qualifications can do it. This girl's future potential is limitless. We must cultivate them well. At the same time, North and Canyon side. Now I have 450,000 spiritual powers. It's almost at the peak of Transcendent Level 2. Just as I was trying my best to reach Transcendent Tier 3, a plant in a temporary mine began to change. This makes Qianqing, who has intuitive abilities. I sensed something instantly. Then he slowly followed his feelings. Came to a cave. At this moment, the strange aura inside the cave became heavier and heavier. Just thinking about it. Do you want to go in and check it out? Suddenly brush in the hole. And there were countless red vines. The next second, Qianqing was entangled by these vines. Right at the moment he passed out. In time, he shouted out the words, Lord God Tree, and I just woke up from my retreat. I heard him screaming for help. At first I thought I was hearing things. But when I got to his room, and I didn't see him. You can't even find it anywhere in the forest. Finally, there was no other way. I can only send out the mist in circles. To sense. It wasn't long before I noticed something unusual about the cave. But when I got there, it was too late. Ding mutant plant level 8. To breathe the spirit of the vine, and has parasitic abilities. I didn't know that the original plant was insignificant. Things have mutated. Look at this. Presumably he wanted to parasitize. Get out of this mine. Just then, the plant gave a sudden squeak. And the next thing I know, the vines are coming at me. And yet these attacks of his seem to me, even tickling is light. I immediately swept past. It only took one move to uproot him. At this moment, the system notification came again. Congratulations, host. You've gained life. The seed can use spiritual power. Multiple trees grow rapidly on the ground. Looking at the dead plant on the ground, I didn't expect to kill the same type of beast, and you can steal their skills. Then I looked at the 1,000 riders next to me. At this moment, he has no life at all. Just when I thought I'd bury him here. Qianqing's body. Then suddenly there was a burst of red light, and ended up in the air, forming a translucent sphere. Just when I was wondering why Qianqing became like this, when suddenly there was a bang. An arm extended from the sphere. The next second, the pre-Qin period miraculously came back to life like this, but this look made me blush. Look at him. Could it be symbiosis with that mutant plant? Just then, Qianqing suddenly covered her head and screamed. He couldn't believe what he'd become. Seeing this situation, I rushed forward to comfort him and said, Join us. You're not human anymore. The girl was parasitized by a mutated plant. I didn't expect to end up being eaten by girls. Since then, not only has Qianqing been reborn, he even had the ability to control vines. For this reason I have given him the name of Thorn, ranked 6th among the 9 beasts. But then it flashed. Light suddenly stands up and says he disagrees. He's a human being. How can you compare with us? After hearing this, I immediately berated him. Are you questioning my decision now? But when it did, the flash was a cold sweat. And then he goes down on one knee, which means he's overstepping. I know you hate humans all the time. But now Qianqing is different from the past. Take your time getting along. Looking at the pitiful Qianqing beside him, Flash is also helpless, can only passively accept down. I couldn't help but sigh when I saw this scene. It means that people are not united. It's not easy to lead a team, and so after a few days of peace, This day, several unexpected guests burst into the forest. In this age of total evolution, there are also a number of special occupations born in humans, and they just pay. Who can make a move? As for their purpose in entering the mountain this time, to find the atavistic crocodile. But they couldn't find the alligator. Instead, I met Qianqing, who was picking fruits. Chiaki wanted to pick more. When I go back and give White Tiger a taste, suddenly, a burly man appeared behind him. I didn't expect to be in this forest. I can't believe I've encountered such a beautiful mutant. That's a real windfall. Hearing this, Qianqing was flustered. But before she could think about it, and then a big hand, he pressed her against the tree next to him. Subsequently, he held her in his hand like a chicken. This is a mutant. And get it to the auction house, it's gonna fetch a good price. And then Yellow Hair came up and said, that's a rare variant. But at that moment, a woman in the same company stepped forward and said angrily, are you guys that desperate? But when she saw Qianqing's beautiful face, he immediately approached her with a dagger in jealousy. That means those red eyes are worth something. But she didn't have time to do it. Qianqing's vine sent him flying. That woman looked at Qianqing, whose breath was still unstable. Then he said to his companion behind him, he should mutate. Not long. Let's attack together. After saying that, a few people suddenly rushed up to Qianqing. Just when Qianqing thought, this time, he was doomed. Suddenly, there was a flash of golden light in the sky. The next, one of the men is decapitated. And then the flash stepped on the man's head. And he said, humans, how dare you barge in here? After hearing this, several people immediately panicked. They did not expect this strange beast can actually speak. The old man next to him saw that the situation was not good. I want to run immediately, but in an instant his head moved too. The woman who saw this scene was horrified. Then the flash suddenly appeared in front of him again, and said, you're unlucky to have met me. None of you are leaving here alive today. Then he put his claws through the woman's chest. And then another partner tries to struggle. But the result, his bullets can't break through the flash defense. And then there's a pop. The man took the boxed lunch on the spot. Not expect. This battle is just flash, one-sided slaughter. Qianqing was stunned to see this scene. However, at this moment, that blonde is still alive. By the time the flash finds out, it's too late. Just because of the yellow hair on the hand, and he's holding a grenade. There was a loud explosion. The flash was blown out on the spot. Although his life was saved for now. But it also blew up his legs. Just then. That woman is still alive. And seeing Flash die under that woman's knife. Suddenly there was a popping sound, and the woman got her head pierced by a vine. It turns out that at this last moment, Chiaki saved Flash in time. It's over, I was finally discovered by humans. Not only did they muster 500,000 troops, and with them weapons of mass destruction. Even genetically modified troops have been dispatched. Turns out, just a few days ago, a joint global conference. The head of the Chinese Federation said, after the conclusion of the Spiritual Research Institute, in the past 6 months, the spiritual power in the deep sea area is constantly rising. Moreover, the exotic beasts in the interior are constantly evolving. They're not like creatures in the ocean. We cannot strike with nuclear weapons. The researchers next to him also said, now the spiritual tide will come again in 15 days. By then, the evolution of inland beasts will be worse than what's in the deep. And then he flashed a video of killing mercenaries. Let out. When they hear the Flash speak. He immediately revealed a look of surprise. At this time, the general on the side also said, this video is of mercenaries who implant eyeballs. From the video feed. From the strange beast's mouth we can know. Behind them, there's still a master. And I, who didn't know it. Still lamenting the progress of human technology. It's the Flash. They've got a lot of blood. Found a device called a psychic shield. No wonder these people went into the mountains. My fog doesn't feel anything. Just then. Another message from the crocodile. I don't know. There were a lot of strange smells at the foot of the mountain. I don't know when. A large number of helicopter gunships appeared in the sky. Not only that, even the most advanced tanks, armored vehicles, thousands of them. I didn't think humans would move so fast. Look at them. I don't think it's just about catching crocodiles. Just then, Xiao Qing suddenly reported to me that the purpose of mankind this time, to take this mountain. Sure enough, they're after me this time. In fact, if you can, I've always wanted to be neutral, but now they're shooting right at the door. Then I said to all the strange beasts, listen carefully. We're about to face a brutal battle. A battle of life and death. I know people don't really like fighting. But if we lose this time, then what awaits is endless darkness. So this decisive battle, everyone must have the consciousness of death for a better future. Please do your best. As soon as I finished speaking, all the beasts were excited. The picture comes to humans again. At this point they are all ready to go. Shaolin looked at the mighty team. It was a burst of exclamation. I didn't expect it to come to this. Then one of the boys asked, "It's just a mountain. Is all this really necessary?" The senior next to him explained, "Don't underestimate these mutated beasts. Once, I witnessed a level 4 mutant antelope massacred an army unit of nearly 100 men in this mountain today. Level 4 creatures can only be reduced to food." After hearing this, the juniors immediately broke out in cold sweat. At this time, Shaolin, who was next to him, was thinking, with the current human forces, I don't know if Master has a chance. And at the same time, the headquarters, they are discussing the battle plan this time. The commander barked out to our fighters. All of them must wear spiritual shielding devices, because only in this way, so that they're not detected by the beasts. And he ordered all the tanks for the first round of artillery fire, with a series of booming sounds, countless shells, and in an instant, it tore a huge hole in the mountain. At the same time, helicopter gunships in the air, and they're starting to do blanket attacks. The soldiers who saw this scene could not help but wonder, bombing like this, aren't you afraid of alerting the strange beasts? At this time, the companion next to him explained, that cannonball wasn't just opening the way. It's more about driving those exotic beasts to one place. Just then, a burly man suddenly appeared beside them. Say, stop talking. Concentrate. The soldiers who heard this immediately broke out in cold sweat. They did not expect. General Li is also participating in this battle. You know, he's one of the best in the Federation. It is said that he alone can match the strength of a brigade. At the same time, under artillery bombardment, at this time, the mountain, a 100-meter-long chasm has been created. At the commander's command, all the soldiers, they started marching toward the mountains in unison, but at that moment, a giant tree root suddenly appeared in the sky, and with a bang, and caught them off guard. Then there was another loud dragon roar. That's right, it was my roots that attacked them. The soldiers who saw this scene were horrified, and the commander at this time did not expect. The exotic beasts actually took the initiative to attack, for a moment, the human battle plan. And I'm gonna mess it up in a split second. Come on! If you want to take this mountain, it's not as easy as you think. 500,000 men have gathered to take down a mountain. Not only did they send dozens of helicopter gunships, even bringing devastating intercontinental missiles. It's not human drama, but because the forest is full of mutated beasts. But when their artillery fire, when he tore through the first line of defense, suddenly, 100-meter-tall tree root, it's in the way. Not expect. I ended up on the opposite side of humanity. At my command, all the mutant beasts came out in an instant. Just then, ancient crocodiles suddenly transmitted. It looks like a human entered the forest from another direction. I am not in a hurry to hear this. It doesn't matter. We'll have a trump card against them. But soldiers who didn't know it. And yet there he is, constantly advancing, just when they thought, this mission is too easy. Flat top not far away, suddenly there was a roar. On the other hand, in the headquarters of this battle, I didn't expect that as the #1 combat force in China, General Li is here. At this point, the commander said, "We're not just after the crocodile. It's about finding the brains behind this mountain. Originally, our plan is to approach slowly from the outside, but I don't know why. All those strange beasts suddenly came out. And from that you can see, the brains behind this are not only intelligent, and at least he has the strength of an extraordinary rank 1 or above. This time, we have to be able to take this mountain. And the left wing of the fighting force. I didn't expect them to meet 1,000 riders, it's just a matter of time." These soldiers were killed. At this time, a soldier was still thinking of attacking the 1,000 cavalry from behind, but in the next second, and behind him, there's a big mouth. And with a pop, the man took the lunch box in an instant. It turns out that White Tiger has always been guarding Qianqing's side, but at that moment, there was a rocket in the air. And then there was a boom. And that's when 2 genetically modified warriors came forward, and he said, "These exotic beasts are too fragile. Until the smoke clears." White Tiger was unscathed, and then he showed up in front of them. The lion who saw this scene smiled mockingly and said, "Great. I was just itching for a place to vent. This White Tiger is mine. The rest is yours." The Catwoman beside him heard this, but he smiled evilly and said that he would catch the woman first. "Our aim is to find out who's behind them." But at this moment, the lion simply does not listen. He was furious and wanted to fight with White Tiger. And at the same time, on the other side, golden monkeys, they started fighting. With a kick from the armored boar. And killed 3 regular soldiers in a flash. As for Flat Top, who has great speed. And he charged up against the gunfire. When you get close to the soldier, you get a butt shot. In less than 3 minutes, 3 of them took out a squad of soldiers. But just as they were cheering, a man with a scorpion tail suddenly appeared. He threw a tail flick right in the belly of the golden monkey. This sudden change, it shocked the crew. I saw the golden monkey that was thrown out stand up with difficulty. At this time, the scorpion laughed loudly and was poisoned by me. "In a minute you're gonna be dead." A pool of blood. The crew cut who heard that, and immediately charged at the scorpion. He was about to end that man's life. Suddenly a beard, and with a swipe, it appeared beside him. And then a side kick. Kicked Flat Top into the ground with a bang. Then a woman with a hammer flew in. At that critical moment, the armored boar appeared just in time to block his attack. But what he didn't expect, this woman has such strength. And when the 3 of them landed, they realized, these people are genetically modified units of extraordinary people, even though they beat us to it. But they can't afford to lose, Flat Top. Suddenly, the 3 men on the other side launched an attack on them fiercely, but at that moment, Flat Top suddenly jumped above them. The bearded man who saw this grinned and said, "Look, this little guy came to us." And then the next second, he stopped laughing. Just because Flat Top was looking at them, he unleashed his lightning talent. In an instant, they electrocuted the 3 of them so much that even their mother didn't know them. At the same time, the golden monkey and the armored boar next to it. It was also an opportunity to sneak up from behind, and as they worked together, soon, he beat the 3 people to the ground, passed out. But then the golden monkey suddenly coughed. So it's the scorpion poison, has invaded his organs. But before they could catch their breath, there are a lot of soldiers around. Subsequently, countless bullets were fired at them. Although, these bullets can't do them any fatal damage. But it also makes them miserable. Bro Flat Top. And then he started releasing his lightning talent next to the armored boar, and he's hurtling towards them. But at that moment, a supernatural being suddenly appeared behind the golden monkey. So what if he's poisoned now? Is a rival to this extraordinary, and with that man's violent blow, the golden monkey was about to die on the spot. And then there's this sudden white flash. The golden monkey was unscathed. It's a wild boar in armor. Stood in front of him at the critical moment. The golden monkey who saw this scene instantly burst into tears. Flat Top next to him was also in disbelief. Just then, and the guy just popped it. The heart of the iron boar. For a moment, the intense pain. He couldn't help coughing up a puddle of blood. Finally, he couldn't stand it anymore, and fell in front of the golden monkey. At this moment, golden monkey, it's like something's been torn apart. An instant. He recalled the scenes he had just met. He was the majestic king of beasts. But now half of the tiger skin has been stripped off by humans, even dead. But his figure still stands. It turned out that just now, after the armored boar sacrificed himself to save the golden monkey, the crew member next to him was also distracted, and was severely wounded by the supernatural among humans. More and more extraordinary beings are coming forward. At this moment, the golden monkey was angry. He picked up his stick and was ready to die with them. But at that moment, Flat Top suddenly rushed up and bit it. And then after a few flashes he escaped. Now that the armored boar is dead, he didn't want to lose his brother, the golden monkey, and his leg was severely injured. If we don't run, then they could both end up here. And the same thing, the other side of time. White Fox could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, he and Qianqing were already in a bitter battle. They did not expect. The supernatural among humans is actually so powerful. Although their physical strength has reached the end. But I never thought about taking a step back. Just then, the lion roared angrily. They can't hold out much longer. And that white tiger has been protecting that woman. We're gonna use him as a breach. And at this moment, Qianqing also understood. White Tiger was supposed to be under artillery shells. He got hurt pretty bad. I'm afraid it's been holding up. But without his protection, I think they've already taken him. And just as they were deadlocked, suddenly a man walked into the field, a pale-faced eccentric. But when the lion saw the man, it was a moment of panic. He didn't expect the vampire gula to show up. At this time, Qianqing also discovered the opposite strange. I was on the verge of losing it. They actually have reinforcements, and this guy looks like he's got an aura. It's not easy. At the very least, they were all at least transcendent rank 1 or above. Just then, the vampire gula spoke. What are you waiting for? All together. As soon as he finished speaking, all the extraordinary people on the human side, he rushed towards White Tiger and the others. But it looks like it's already a crumbling white tiger. But it's still overwhelming. Even the white crane and queen bee nearby are fighting to the death. Qianqing might not be as strong as them, but I'm not scared at all. But at that moment, the cat girl suddenly attacked from behind. With the detonation of the 2 flash bombs, an instant, the field was eroded by a blinding white light. And Catwoman took the opportunity to extend her claws, and with a puff, it was inserted into Qianqing's abdomen like this. Byuk, just as Catwoman was about to make another move. And suddenly, behind him, there's a big mouth. And then, boom! The cat girl was sent flying by the white tiger. The lion who saw this scene immediately became anxious. But fortunately, the white tiger's claw did not kill him. At this moment, White Tiger suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Go." Qianqing was stunned when she heard this. He didn't expect White Tiger to speak. Then White Tiger continued, "I sense more and more extraordinary beings. Go back and find the divine tree, or we'll all die here." Hearing this, Qianqing still wanted to persist for a while longer, but before he could say anything, White Tiger suddenly roared and shouted, "Woman! You're only gonna get in the way of my performance." Qianqing fell silent after hearing this. He knew White Tiger was trying to force him to leave. And even if I stay here, it won't be of much use. Then a leap and retreat towards the back. But how could humans let him escape so easily? Fortunately, the wind wolf appeared in time. He bit down on the two men chasing him. However, at this time, the man on the other side suddenly opened fire on Chi-Chi. Watching those bullets, when you're about to hit Qian-Qing. At this moment, the crane suddenly appeared in front of him, although he successfully blocked the bullet for Chiaki. But the crane itself was severely injured because of this, and the wind wolf on the other side. At this moment, he was also surrounded and beaten by 3 extraordinary people, lost its vitality. As for White Tiger, he's stalling for time. He even monopolized dozens of supernatural beings. At this moment, Qian-Qing understands that now is not the time to be sad. He must report the situation to the divine tree as soon as possible. At this moment, 2 more extraordinary beings caught up with him. Fortunately, he desperately blocked in front of them. But it's only level 7. How could he be a match for these extraordinary beings? He vaguely remembered the last time it was this bad. Or when you were fighting the python? In fact, the original self. There's not much overlap with those 2 girls. But he fought in that fight anyway. Even though I lost badly that time. But after the war, he successfully joined the divine tree. Although at that time his own strength was very low. But people didn't look down on him because of it. So this time, let me watch over you. Long as I live. None of you are going over there. That's it. 1 tiger, 1 crane, unafraid to face hundreds of extraordinary beings. At this time, Vampire Gula suddenly shouted that they had no strength. All of you. He watched as the supernatural charged at him. White Tiger, he suddenly remembered something God had said to him. You, the White Tiger King of Beasts, the pursuit of extreme power is a good thing. However, in terms of combat skills, it is still a bit lacking. You know, there are limits to strength and physical strength. But the inner strength is infinite. No matter what kind of opponents you face in the future, you must remember, you're the King of Beasts. To have the righteousness to shoulder all responsibilities. The picture goes back to the present again. At this moment, countless supernatural beings, like a tidal wave towards the White Tiger. But at this moment, White Tiger has no fear. Because he's the King of Beasts. That's it. I don't know how long. When the flash came from the east. At this moment, the White Tiger has no life at all. Although White Tiger died in battle, but his figure still stands. At this time, the mantis behind the flash is a face of disbelief. White Tiger was killed by humans. Half of the tiger skin was removed alive. Looking at the white who refuses to close his eyes until he dies. Tiger Flash at the moment is holding back tears. Angry way, silly tiger. Is it worth it? They live in this forest. Carefree little animals. Sometimes we laugh and play together. And sometimes they play around in snacks. But now the armored boar's heart has been crushed by humans. The golden monkey was poisoned and dying. In order to survive, Flat Top hid the golden monkey in a dead tree. And before he could catch his breath. And then there's the human voice. Looking at the golden monkey still struggling to get up, Flat Top made a decision. He decided to distract the humans himself, because he didn't want to lose his brother again. That's it. Flat Top's holding back, running towards the humans. On the other side, a few supernatural beings cursed. Just say we have to find that honey pot. But just as they slowly, when approaching the dead tree, Flat Top suddenly came from behind them, and it just popped out. During this period, he also managed to sneak up on an extraordinary. But in the next second, he gets punched by another supernatural being. Then a woman with a sledgehammer smashed him into the ground. But when they took the hammer away. But I found out that Flat Top had gone underground. Just when they thought, when this honeypot escaped again. There was a sudden surge under one of them. The next second, Flat Top pops out of the ground. And hit the guy on the chin. But before he could catch his breath, the bearded man suddenly jumped to the side and asked, "Tell me, where the hell is that monkey?" Then he hit Flat Top with his palm. This palm strike, even the surrounding boulders were split into pieces. And at this moment, the Flat Top brother who took this palm is dying. Unable to move, even so. And the guy's not gonna let him go. I saw the beard. Punch after punch landed on Flat Top. Flat Top guy who can't fight back. I can only let the fist fall on my body. Finally, under the fierce fist of that big beard, Flat Top was sent flying dozens of meters, until he hit a rock. And when the dust settles, Flat Top at the moment, it's already the last breath. Just hanging in there. And then the woman next to me said, "Stop wasting time. Are there any other exotic beasts to kill?" After saying that, a few people rushed forward and greeted Brother Flat Top. However, at this moment, Flat Top suddenly spat out 2 grenades. So it was when I ambushed one of them. He slipped 2 in his mouth. A few people saw this scene and felt bad, but now it's too late for them to dodge. There was a loud explosion. Flat Top died with them. In a trance, Flat Top felt like he was here. Somewhere special. At this moment, Shaolin unexpectedly appeared in front of him. The moment I saw him, all the grievances came out instantly. Subsequently, he threw himself into Shaolin's arms regardless. At this time, Shaolin's comforting words ended. "It's over." And then he took Flat Top. He left this world peacefully. Scene changed. I don't know when the golden monkey came here. But when he saw Flathead's body, tears immediately burst out. Why? Why would humans do this to us, just then? The bearded guy next to me is still alive. The golden monkey who saw this, it's an instant, a swing of the stick. At this moment, the golden monkey has completely lost its mind, and then you ignore the poison in your system, forcibly using spiritual power to whip the bearded man, until the stick breaks, until he was dead. The golden monkey stopped. Finally, the golden monkey carried the body of Flat Top on its back, trembling step by step towards the distance. Finally, he saw it. Still lying there, a motionless armored boar. He slowly walked forward, and touched the head of the armored boar. Then I looked up at the blue sky. In a trance, he remembered those good times again. Maybe this is the best place for them. On the other side, right now, the canyon perimeter, the human helicopter is slamming into the ground. Until the dust clears. But found, the stars are safe under the roots. The soldiers who saw this, it was a look of disbelief, and then they shot at them again. And then the helicopter in the sky, and the peregrine falcons took down quite a few of them, and at this point I'm still in the center, and I can't help but complain, a missile of this caliber, how can you shoot through my trunk? But at that moment, suddenly, a slight sound came from the side. I didn't expect a human. He came to me quietly. He's the strongest human on the planet, but he was beaten by a big tree and couldn't fight back. Even so, he still didn't flinch. It turned out that just now, I was dealing with the armored tanks outside. Suddenly a human being, he came quietly to my side. Then the man said, "It looks like you must be the boss here." Hearing this, I didn't hesitate to say yes. But General Lee was shocked. He didn't expect a tree to talk. Although I have been mentally prepared before. But when you really face, when this tree, I felt an invisible pressure. Then he drew his sword. Shouted the fog beast outside, "You're the one who did this, right?" "Yeah. Everything here is my creation." "Human, you shouldn't be trespassing on our territory." General Lee, however, said instead, "We took over their human lands." Hearing this, I know this battle is inevitable. And then I called out to you to do it. As soon as he finished speaking, the man swung his sword. But in the next second, his invincible sword, my roots dried it to shreds. General Lee was dumbfounded. He didn't expect a big tree to be so strong. But before he could think about it, my roots are already winding up again. And then you throw it hard, and send him flying hundreds of meters away. Until the smoke clears. And found that it didn't do him much harm. And then I put out my roots, and pressed it against his throat. "Didn't you say you wanted to occupy this mountain? Why are you kneeling in front of me now? I had no intention of waging war with you humans. If you withdraw now, I promise never to invade your human domain again." General Lee, however, and you don't believe a word this tree says. Then he stood up and said, "All of our fighters this time. All with psychic shields. Have you been unable to sense it until now? About your subordinates. I can tell you now. We killed them all." Whether it's the white tiger or the honey pot. They're all dead in this forest. When I heard that, I couldn't hold it in any second. I know this war cannot be fought without sacrifice, but I didn't expect casualties. Are there so many? And then I said, Man! When did this world begin? It's yours. Since when? You're gonna have to run the world. Starting today. As long as I exist, I'll fight you humans to the death. I'm going to use your blood to honor all the lives you've killed. And at the same time, on the other side, Qianqing just ran to the center of the forest, behind him, and suddenly there's this white fuzz. Qianqing thought it was White Tiger and the others who had returned, and the next thing I know, it's that Catwoman. And what he was wearing, it's the White Tiger's half. Seeing this scene, Qianqing was immediately angry, and then he throws out countless vines and killed the Catwoman, but he was already badly injured, and how can she be a match for Catwoman? Just when the Catgirl was about to finish Qianqing off, suddenly a cold flash. With a loud thud. The Catgirl was sent flying instantly. It turns out that at this critical time, it's Qing Gang and Leng Feng who arrived just in time. When you see two humans? Catwoman's face was full of disbelief. At this time, Gula next to him stepped forward and said, You're no match for them. I'll take it from here. He said. I'm sorry, and then you start slowly. It gave off a blood-red mist. In less than a moment, the Green Gang and the others, he took it in his hands. But it's in Gula, to interrogate the brains behind them. Flash appears instantly, a sharp knife cut into his body. But Flash, the scythe that cuts everything. But they didn't even tear each other's clothes. Seeing this scene, Qianqing hurriedly shouted, Hurry up! You are no match for him. But at this point the Flash is already killing Red Eyes, all he could think about, to avenge the White Tiger. Just then, a large number of soldiers behind, and recognized this golden ant. But before they could shoot the space around, suddenly, a green figure flashed by, and the next, the soldiers were picking up their lunch boxes on the spot, and Gula at this time is also a retreat, and they put a distance between them. Interesting. It's actually two high-speed moving exotic beasts. Just then, Catwoman knows she's no match for them, and then I thought about running away. But in the next second, the Flash rushed to his face. But he didn't have time to do it. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared in front of him, and then he was whipped out by Gula. At this time, Gula opened his mouth to taunt, and said that his speed was not bad, but the strength is far from enough. Hearing this, the Mantis was immediately angry, then he rushed over fiercely. Kakula was just a random move, corrupted shadow impact. He easily beat the Mantis to serious injury. On one side is a Flash of level 8. So, can they beat the peak of the otherworldly Gula? Coming. The second form of Flash. He's here. He was just here. Flash avenged White Tiger. I can't believe I've arrived. Gula, who is at the peak of the extraordinary world, made a move, with a flash of light and a roar. The next second, he rushed towards Gula at great speed. But such a swift blow. But it was easily blocked by Gula. This surprised Flash. He didn't expect Gula to be so strong. And then he'd swing his scythe and he'd strike fast. But in the end, he didn't even touch the corner of Gula's clothes. The attack didn't work. And then he stomped. The next second, countless golden shadows appeared all over Gula. The Mantis who saw this scene was a face of no. I can't believe this guy's faster than me. Just then, Flash is finally charging. Then it hit Gula's body with a bang. But in the next second, the sound of his scythe cracking came. Is that all you got? All-out attack, can't even break my skin. After saying that, Gula waved his cloak and pierced Flash's body. Seeing the Flash die. At this moment, Mantis rushed up in a hurry. However, Gula was mocking with a disdainful face. Your attack, not even that ant. But before he could finish. At this time, Qinggang suddenly attacked from behind. At the same time, Ling Feng also pulled out his long sword instantly. He jumped out of the sky. I can see it. The tip of the knife was about to penetrate Gula's eye. Suddenly, there was a bang. Gula transformed into countless bats. Spread out. Ling Feng didn't expect Gula to have bat clones. I was so angry that I gnashed my teeth. Look at the bats in the sky. They really don't know where to start. But at that moment, Qianqing behind him suddenly shouted, "Quick! Attack the bat with the red eye!" Gula was stunned when he heard this. But before he could react, and the mantis was already below him. Gula, who saw this scene, thought to himself, "No!" However, it was too late for him to dodge. As the mantis's sharp side strikes Gula's body, suddenly he spat out a mouthful of blood, the moment he was about to land. And then the flash came up again. Angry, he put his paw on the bat's head. And then there was a bang. But just when everyone thought they'd won, there was a sudden burst of blood around the flash. Immediately, it's like countless shadow impacts burst out. At this critical moment, Qi pushed the cold wind aside in time. And when the fog clears, Gula at this time, and appeared intact in the field. Green Steel was hit by shadow impact, lost their lives. As for Mantis, and because you're in front of the flash at the critical moment, half his body was blown off. This moment, the flash of tears immediately stopped flowing out. But before they could recover, Gula in the field waved his cape again, and charged forward, seeing Flash dying at the hands of Gula. Suddenly there was a popping sound, not expect. It was Qianqing who suddenly stood in front of him. The Flash at this time is a face of disbelief, the man he hated the most. But now she stood in front of him without hesitation. "Little Five, it's my turn to save you." Qianqing had tears in her eyes, after saying this sentence intermittently. And then he took a puff, blood spurted out. From then on, that innocent and lovely girl Qianqing, get offline. And then Gula said, "If the authorities know, how can humans and exotic beasts be so close? I think such a war should not have happened. But I'm not going to report this. Because what I want is endless killing." But before he could finish, the cold wind next to him suddenly attacked him. At the same time, he did not forget to remind Flash that he did not want to die. "Just get that mantis out of here." After saying that, he ordered the mutant rats to move towards Gula. Then the mantis behind him advised him to go. "We can't beat him. Let them kill each other." The Flash that heard this did not answer. Instead, I fell into deep memories. At that time, humans were trying to learn the secrets of evolution. He witnessed the brutal murder of a large number of his countrymen. Are ants born this way? Shouldn't fate be in your own hands? Was it time? I'm just one of thousands of ants. The divine tree gave him a second life. It was everyone who made him feel warm. But now humans are here to destroy all that good. I know I'm no match for him. But they're unforgivable. And then the mantis jumped on him. And he's like, "How many times do I have to say this? You can't win. It'll just give you away for nothing." I know. Of course I know, but we can't die for nothing. Now it's just me. I have to guard this place for everyone. Hearing this, the praying mantis suddenly pondered. Then he slowly released the Flash, said, "If you die trying to win, then eat me. Let me be your strength." That's what makes Flash look like he can't believe it. And then the mantis says, "I'm dying anyway. My mother ate my father and I was born. My father's power passed into my mother's. I've always disagreed with that approach. I can't imagine myself ending up like this. That's why I escaped the pack alone. All you have to do now is eat me. My strength will be your strength. My speed will be your speed." But the Flash means you can't. He didn't want Mantis to die for him. But then the mantis coughed up a puddle of blood. Furious, "Hurry up, I don't have time. I'm in pain talking." Along the way, the smell of the partners is getting less and less. I can feel everyone dying. Instead of dying at the hands of that human, I'd rather be a part of you. Flash, I've always thought of you as my best friend. You don't have to blame yourself. This is my destiny of choice. At this moment, The Flash is already crying. But in the end, I force myself to open my mouth. Meanwhile, on the other side, Cold Wind was stabbed to protect the mutant rat. Gula said disdainfully. Since you guys are so close, then I'll give you a ride. Then he suddenly stabbed at the mutant mouse. But with a loud boom. This sudden change, Gula couldn't help but stare. Turns out his sharp cape. It was blocked by the Flash. Do you know how strong the Flash is in the second form? Just a random punch. He crippled Gula, who was a first-tier transcendent. It turned out that just now, after Flash ate the mantis, and instantly evolved into the second form. Seeing this scene, Gula couldn't help but think, how did this ant suddenly become stronger? But judging by the smell, it's only at level 9. There's no way he's going to be my opponent. Then he said sarcastically, your partner's protecting you like hell, and you're not running? It is madness. But before he could finish, Flash had teleported behind him. This speed surprised Gula. Then he hurries his cloak into action. Until the smoke clears, only to discover that the cape missed him. At this moment, Gula couldn't help but gasp. How did this guy get so fast all of a sudden? Just then, the Flash took the bodies of the mutant rats, brought it all here. Then they put them in front of the Cold Wind, and said, I know these rats are your heart. Now you go in peace. As for your feud, I'll take it from here. When Gulatan heard this, he, not happy, then he said sarcastically, like you can win. That was just an oversight. Now I'm gonna get serious. But before he could finish, the shining fist is already coming up. With a loud bang. Gula, who was sent flying, was stunned. And now the Flash, but it's already burned to the limit. Look at the Flash. It's only level 9. At this moment, Gula still can't believe it. The other side can beat themselves. Immediately, he untied his cloak. Since you want me dead so badly, then let's see if you have the strength. As soon as he finished speaking, the Flash came to the front with a brush. The next second, Flash was instead punched in the body by Gula. At this moment, Gula's arm, it turned into a hurricane thorn several meters long. Just a casual wave, and it just crashed right into Flash's head. And then there's the countless shadow shocks towards the Flash. At this moment, Gula seemed to have gone mad. However, just when he thought he had it in his pocket, Flash, those weird eyes, and suddenly appeared in front of him. The next second, the Flash was another punch in the face. This time, Gula was completely dumbfounded. I've never been bullied like this since I was a child. And he summoned all the bats. Then he controlled a bat to kill the Flash. However, this speed is obviously unable to attack Flash. But the bat landed. And suddenly there was a flash of fire. At this time, Gula laughed crazily. This is my very own bat bomb. You can keep dodging. But those friends behind you. But there's nothing left. The flash of anger immediately went off when he heard that. Immediately, and said he knocked them off one by one. However, at this time, the sky is already filled with tens of thousands of bats. Gula said disdainfully, I want to see it. How did you get 13,000 of my bats to fly at once? After saying that, he directed all the bats toward the Flash, facing thousands of bats. At this moment, Flash dare not be careless, whether it's revenge or not, or for the people behind you. He can't hide. And then he increased his speed to the extreme. Just for an instant, all the bats were hit back by the Flash. Watching the bats get knocked back. At this moment, Gula's face was full of disbelief, but before he could think about it, all the bats exploded around him. As the huge fire rumbled through the sky, Gula's family was instantly blown up and fell from the sky. However, at this moment, the Flash suddenly came behind him again. And then a fist slams him to the ground. That tremendous force, and smashed the boulder into pieces. But Gula, who just landed, didn't even have time to catch his breath. At this time, Flash stomped on his head again. Then he raised his fist. He roared, This punch is from White Tiger! This punch is Qianqin's. These are the names of all the creatures you killed. At this point, Gula is completely scared. Why? Why is he so powerful when he's only level 9? He's too fast. I couldn't catch him at all. He was not willing. I can't believe I was defeated by a level 9 exotic beast. Then he started burning all his spiritual energy. And then he goes right for the Flash. And then he missed. Just then, Flash suddenly sneaks in from behind. But when he punched on the belly of Gula, and then suddenly Gula grabbed it with his backhand. The flash of restricted movement is a bad feeling. At this time, Gula laughed angrily and said, "This is the end of you. I want you to know. Transcendent level 1 is an existence you cannot overcome." After saying that, he punched Flash in the head. And the next second, he's not laughing anymore, just because the Flash is on this hit. Actually completely fine. At this time, Flash remembered what the tree had said to him. Not all humans are evil. I believe that after spending time with Qianqing in the future, you'll naturally change your mind. But now all my friends are dead. Killed by this human. This Flash carries all the anger, all the power accumulated, and he punched Gula in the head. That terrifying power, and it just made a huge hole in the ground. When the dust clears, Gula is dead now. He can't die anymore. White Tiger affection. And all my friends. I finally avenged you. However, at this moment, a sudden burst of cracks appeared on Sparkle's body. I still can't handle so much power. After all, this power didn't belong to me in the first place. And then the Flash started walking slowly back. At last he came to the bodies of his companions and sat down. It's nice to meet you guys, even though we never really crossed paths. And I'm sorry, Master. Flash may not be able to help you anymore. I'm tired. Give me a break. This is an atavistic crocodile over 2 kilometers in size, to kill the highest commander in the homicide class. He even dared to carry dozens of powerful missiles. It turned out that just now, when the local crocodile saw the bodies of the 3 of them, and then he looked up and he said, "Human and you're gonna pay for it." And somewhere in the woods at the same time, Catwoman is retreating to the human base. But at that moment, a slender figure blocked her way. When you see someone coming, Catwoman's face was full of disbelief. So it's he, Xiaoling. Catwoman didn't expect him to come to the battlefield. A Catwoman who's already got a problem with him. I felt bad. Then he came up with a plan. It means that all the exotic beasts have been wiped out now. You go over there and help. Let's see what else got through. Shaolin, who heard this, was not fooled at all. Catwoman wants to get away with it. Kobayashi rushed forward and knocked him to the ground with one palm. "Oh, that's a cat. Are you sick? If you don't fight the beast, you fight me." But Kobayashi didn't give him any chance to think. And then I punch him in the face. At this moment, the cat girl was immediately angry, and then he was ready to transform and fight him. However, how could he be a match for a transcendent Tier 1 Xiaoming? Just one punch and he's foaming at the mouth. Then Kobayashi summoned countless butterflies. The Catwoman was burned in an instant. Xiaoling's attacks are getting heavier and heavier. He immediately begged for mercy and shouted, "Stop fighting, stop it. I apologize, don't kill me." At this time, Xiaolin conjured a long sword with Reiki, and then he stuck it right in Catwoman's hand. "I won't kill you. But not necessarily them." As soon as he finished speaking, 2 crazy wolves appeared next to him. The cat lady who saw this, suddenly he opened his mouth and cursed, but before he could say anything, 2 wind wolves ate it up. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the battlefield, the stars are being bombarded with heavy casualties. So I used the roots of my tree to cut the heavy firepower. All the tanks were blown away, and then with the fog beasts and the damage, took out a lot of gunships in the sky. However, at this moment, the human commander suddenly shouted, "Hurry! Drop all the incendiary bombs." As soon as he finished speaking, a couple of armed trucks behind us, and immediately starts firing towards the center of the battlefield. The next second, countless incendiary bombs were fired at great speed, towards the fog beasts. In an instant, all my fog beasts, was vaporized by the scorching flames. Even the peregrine falcons flying in the air were affected, and my roots burned in flames. And started to burn. But in the next second, my roots started to grow again. The soldiers who saw this scene were immediately shocked. They did not expect. My roots have the ability to repair themselves, but then the commander shouted, "Keep bombing me." He needs spiritual power to repair his roots, and when it runs out, he's nothing. And the length of that root, it doesn't extend to the missile truck's side. In this way, the armored vehicle behind him continued to deal damage to the battlefield, and watching my roots slowly dwindle. And the peregrine falcons in the air, and immediately attacked in a suicidal manner, and swooped down on the missile truck. But only halfway there. Suddenly, he was stopped by a few supernatural beings. It turns out that because of constant flight, at this time, the speed of locking the door is already impossible to pick up. Even so, a peregrine falcon still managed to get past the supernatural, with a loud roar from Ada. The next second, the missile vehicle behind us, and he was caught in a fire. Then came a series of explosions. All the missile vehicles were destroyed in an instant. At the same time, the ground suddenly began to shake. So it's the crocodiles. They're finally coming from behind, facing such a monster. All the soldiers immediately fired at him together. Although these bullets, unable to deal fatal damage to Emperor Crocodile, but it also made him feel bad. The Emperor Crocodile opened its mouth immediately. Sonic attack on these soldiers. The next second, all the supernatural and soldiers, the first to be lifted hundreds of meters away. And the crocodile took advantage of that, hurrying toward the human command post. But at that moment, the commander suddenly ordered all air forces to listen up. Put chicken petrified rounds on this crocodile. As soon as he finished speaking, helicopter gunships in the air, they started shooting at the crocodiles. In an instant, the surroundings of the crocodile exploded. There was a series of explosions. Looking at the human command center nearby, especially the human commander at the front, the crocodile then shouted to the god tree behind him, "Lend me a hand." Hearing his cry for help, I immediately directed the roots towards the helicopter in the sky, and the crocodile took this opportunity to leap up. The commander who saw this scene felt bad. But it was too late for him to dodge. However, at this moment, a missile suddenly shot into the eyes of the Emperor Crocodile. Then there was a loud, earth-shattering noise. Just when the commander thought, when the missile took out the alligator. But he was suddenly stunned by the scene in front of him. It turned out that there was something wrong. It was the terrifying eyes of Emperor Crocodile. Look at the commander in front of you. The alligator thought if he killed him, we can end the war, right? And then he opened his mouth. He swallowed the commander in one gulp. And the commander died. Gave the final order. Fire at me. In an instant, the crocodile and its commander drowned in the endless flames. All the friends in the mountain died. This is a spiritual missile condensed with human wisdom. His radiation may not be as dramatic as a nuclear bomb, but it exploded several times more powerful than a nuclear bomb, and now this spiritual missile has been fully charged. At this time, the chief asked how General Lee was doing. The assistant next to him hurriedly said after hearing this, "General Lee has been out of contact since he entered the mountain. Original. At this moment, General Lee is already caught in a bitter battle, and his opponent. Naturally, I am at the peak of transcendent rank 2. Look at this human being who's still hanging on." I immediately persuaded, "You can't beat me." But I haven't even finished my sentence. General Lee gnashed his teeth and said, "I won't back down. Since you're so persistent, then I'll show you what I'm capable of." General Lee was shocked to hear this. He didn't think I was hiding something. Just then, with a roar of my voice, only for a moment, the ground around them started shaking. The next second, my spiritual power has already climbed to 490,000. General Lee panicked when he saw this scene. He knows he's no match for me right now. Then he took a pill out of his pocket. Stuffed in the mouth, an instant. General Lee instantly raised his strength to quasi-tier 3. The spiritual value is as high as 680,000. I didn't think. He actually has a way to increase his strength instantly, and then I threw a landslide at him. But I didn't expect him to be so fast. It only took a few jumps to dodge my attack. Trying to distance myself. Chengjian, I won't do what you want. After saying that, he was coming at me at a tremendous speed. When you're close to me. And suddenly he swung his sword. In an instant, my earth elemental condensed defense, instantly shredded by his sword aura. But fortunately, at the critical moment, his sword was stopped by my vine. And then I conjured a fist out of the earth element. And it hit him on the chin. Powerful force. It directly sent him flying to a height of 100 meters. Seeing this situation, I immediately manipulated the roots to kill him again. But at that moment, suddenly, countless sword chi flashed across the sky. The next second, he cut my roots into countless pieces. Then he controlled all the sword chi, and they're coming at me. Seeing this situation, I also hurriedly released countless lancet knives. At the moment when the sword chi and the flying knife collided, I took the opportunity to sneak up on him from behind with vines, and wrapped him up. Just when I thought, when the battle is over. General Li, suddenly there was another explosion of terror. He burned his own life. Forcefully upgraded to Transcendent Rank 3. A fierce sword aura suddenly appeared. And it just came right at me. Then there was an earth-shattering boom. Until the smoke clears. At this moment, General Li was dumbfounded. It turned out that he had gathered all his strength to strike. It only hurt me a little. General Li was unwilling. Then it condensed sword chi and attacked me again. But in the next second, he was hit by my vines. A hot stream of blood, and it came out of his mouth in an instant. At this point he lost. A total loss. This tree is only at the second transcendent level. But I can't beat it. Just as he was about to, when you sacrifice your life again, receivers in the ears, and suddenly there was an order to retreat. General Li, please leave as soon as possible. That mountain is lined with mountains. Missile launch in 3 minutes. After hearing this, General Li's tense heart immediately relaxed. And then he said to me, it seems. We don't need to fight anymore. I admit you're strong. Very strong. But we always win. Because there's gonna be one, a missile with human intelligence, towards here. The missile's spiritual value is close to 1 million, although its radiation is not as exaggerated as nuclear weapons, but it's enough to burn this place down. After saying that, he's moving out at breakneck speed. And when I heard this news, I immediately panicked. Then I hurried to take all the roots outside. Summon back. Just as the missile was about to drop, I was hurrying to direct the roots toward him. But in the next second, all the roots turned to dust. And that psychic missile. It was so overwhelming that it went right into me. There was a loud bang. The missile went right through me. Towards the center of the earth, and when it's completely submerged in the core, and then it started to explode with me at the center. No, I don't want to die. I have so much to do. And the feud with my friends. I didn't even get a chance to report it. I am not willing. I can't die like this. But with an earth-shattering explosion. Eventually, I was drowned in the flames.